Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at the Waterhole and indeed Tembe Elephant Park, with these two beautiful big boys having a little bit of an interaction here. Thank you all so much for joining us today. My name's Kelly. I'm going to be with you for the next couple of hours. It is 12:30 South African time on Tuesday the 27th of May. Please do remember that we are very much live and fully interactive here for the next couple of hours. Please do send your questions, your comments, your thoughts. Send us everything through. You can send your questions to wildearth.tv/questions. We love to hear from everyone that's watching, where you are watching from. What are your thoughts on what we are watching? You can join the conversation on X using the hashtag WildEarth, or you can also scan that QR code there. Oh, these are nice equally matched bulls here. See, this is, oh, that was a big head shake. This is when things could get a little bit more serious. Send your questions and comments through via WhatsApp as well on +27 786 302 336. You are all very, very welcome. We will get through as many of your questions and comments as we possibly can over the course of the next couple of hours. This is an interesting interaction here, though. We often see these elephants at Tembe or anywhere else, and there's often a little bit of pushing and shoving, communication, body language, but these are two big adult bulls. So while it looks like there's not much happening here, I can assure you that there will be lots of communication between these two right now. Posturing, movements, every movement in these animals is a nuance. And a slight change in head angling or a shake, certainly a shake of the head. Oh, that one at the back has got huge big tusks. What a beautiful bull. He has got a magnificent pair of tusks there. Now it looks like that was a little bit more of a serious interaction there. They've gone their separate ways for now by the looks of it, but I can assure you, serious elephant interactions, it's very obvious when they mean business. Gynlin, I'm not quite sure how to say that, Gynlin, apologies for my poor pronunciation. You're saying handsome fellows. They are indeed these boys. This guy who we're watching now, he's got beautifully matched ivory, long, straight, with just that sort of up curve there. Look at that. Lydia, thank you very much. It's nice to have you too, Lydia. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon and giving us your input. Jason, don't those big tusks become a hindrance? You know what, Jason? I've often thought the same thing. That wasn't drinking it, was it, boy? I've often thought the same thing. If you look, Jason, at some of the mega tuskers or super tuskers, as they are sometimes known, it must be an absolute nightmare, because these big tusks, some of these big tuskers, they can weigh sort of 50-60 kilograms a tusk, and while elephants are big, 60 kilograms is 60 kilograms. And sometimes I think because elephants will use their tusks for feeding, they will use them for digging roots at trees, they'll help breaking branches. So while bigger, heavier tusks do assist with leverage, and they certainly look impressive as well to other males and to females, I would imagine the bigger they are, the harder they are to manage. But I'm sure, I mean, I think big kudu bulls is a good example. I've never seen a kudu do it. That's a strange sentence. But these big males, they will instinctively tilt their chin up, which drops their horns down and sort of more along their neck so they don't bang into things. So I'm sure these elephants will get used to their physical spatial awareness. But some of these mega tuskers I've seen, they would often rest their tusks on the ground if they were resting. And some of the really big bulls would even have to almost lift if they didn't intentionally lift their head up, their tusks would be on the ground. I don't know if anyone noticed how this boy, that first sort of trunk full of water, he didn't really put that in his mouth. Maybe there was a bit of sediment on the top of it or something. And this boy has got quite a lot of nicks and chunks and dangles out of his ears there, so he would be easy to identify. I see on that tusk, on that ear, closest to us, there's 2 holes in that ear. So this boy will be, is this the same guy who's coming over? Let's see what's happening here. You see. So despite the fact the elephant at the front to me has got much bigger tusks, it seems to be moving away from the one that's coming in. It was the same on either side of that tree there as well. It looked like the one with the bigger tusks was trying to come forward. But let's watch. There's so much communication going on here. Okay, so the one with the bigger tusks has stopped moving away. It almost looks like it's swapped now. Ooh. See that the one at the front is the much smaller elephant. How interesting though. See, no contact whatsoever. These elephants will both know exactly what's going on in their probably very complex elephant relationship. They will be communicating all the time with body language, posturing, behaviour, either moving away or coming closer. Fascinating to watch these animals communicate. Shailesh Carrier from India, thank you so much for joining us from India. We really appreciate you being here. You're asking how much water do they drink at once? I think it depends on the size of the elephant, it depends on the conditions, etc. But I think they can, up to the trunk can hold up to about 6 litres. We've seen that some of that does often fall out while they're putting it into their mouth from their trunk. But big bulls, I think their daily capacity is I've got 60 litres in my head. I think that sounds quite a lot though. I'm going to check that. But again, it depends on the conditions. It depends on what they're eating. It depends on the size of the elephant. It depends on the temperature. If it's hotter, they will drink more. If it's cooler, they will drink less. If the food they're eating has got lots of moisture in it, they will require less water in a day. This one at the front here, I don't think he's drinking this muddy water. What's he doing in there? Is he playing with it? I'm not sure. He's certainly having a good kick around. Maybe he's going to have a nice splash with that muddy water there. Let's head over to Tau. We often see elephants at Tau, and see if we've got any more activity across there. Ooh, zebras, be careful in there. I've actually assisted in a... Ooh, that zebra looks pregnant. Look at that zebra from the front. A young zebra actually got stuck in here once, and we gently assisted with getting them out. And it does happen this time of year. This water level drops and there is quite sticky mud. You see these, but these big zebra, they're normally quite in tune to their environments, and they wouldn't normally put themselves in a situation where they couldn't get out, these bigger animals. But check this elephant with this one tusk here. Benji T, you're asking, will they dig out their own wallows? Absolutely. They will definitely dig out their own wallows. It's actually how natural pans are formed. So it could be a little, it's just like a tiny little dip in the road or in the bush somewhere, depending on the soil type. It's something will come and have a little splish splash. And then the next time it rains, because some of that soil has been moved away, the water will be deeper. Something else bigger will come splish splash, and that's how natural pans are formed until you get all the way up to elephants. Oh, look at this big bump on this. Before anyone asks, I'm not sure what that is.
Moya wa mina ukomba wena takuranza lokutama na wena.
It's been a great morning out and about and exploring.
It's amazing. It's very hard to explain what this feels like.
At Wild Earth, we believe every story has the power to create change. That's why we've launched the Wild Earth Impact Foundation, a non-profit dedicated to conservation and social impact. By showcasing conservation stories, we can change lives, protect nature, and empower communities. We have partnered with Empowers Africa to accept tax-deductible donations from US donors. Your donation will help fund critical programs that support our mission. Join us and be part of the change.
My name is Takudzwa Panda Msesani. My scariest moment is when it happened twice. The other time I was with Cedric and the other time I was with Steve. And all those times, it was a black mamba. My favorite meal in camp is gonna be burger and chips.
Step away from your daily stress and escape into nature with Wild Earth. Immerse yourself in the wilderness and become part of the natural landscape. Watch as everything comes alive. Join us as we slow down our thoughts, put aside our distractions, and reconnect with the wild.
We are here with a male leopard.
This elephant is pretty deep down there. And Benji, you see, you were asking if they dig their own wallows. I definitely think this elephant has contributed to the depth of this hole. Okay, we have had feedback on that lump. It could be a cyst, it could be an abscess, it could be some sort of tumour, but I wouldn't really want to take too much of a stab at it without. I'm certainly not a wildlife vet. But this elephant in front of us now, he has had a great time in this wallow, and he's made sure he's getting into all those hard to reach areas. Richard, Ellie making a plan. Indeed, he is. And it's nice to see. This is also an adult elephant. It's not a youngster or anything. Nice to see all of these elephants engaging in a. I love watching this. Did you see how he nudged that sand onto his trunk there? So elephants well known for this activity of often, and I've watched many times, elephants will go drink, they will then splash with water, then sometimes they apply mud, and then they finish off with this. And I love watch how he flicks that sand onto his trunk. Hey. This is an expert coverage. He's making sure he's getting all those bits and pieces covered. Gunnar, you're asking, why do they usually splash themselves with soil? They're dusty on their backs. It acts like there's lots of different theories behind it, but the most common one is it's just like a layer of protection, and it will also help with parasite management. So any little bugs or parasites that are travelling around the elephant will no longer stick, for want of a better phrase. And also as a skin protector. And I suppose if they put mud on and then a layer of dust, it would maybe stop the mud drying out as quickly. I'm not sure if they would want that. I'm just trying to think of the actual mechanics of it. And I think it probably feels quite nice as well. Like having a good scrub, exfoliation. Like he's gone to a different spot to use different sand. I wonder if that's relevant. But they often do. It's a process. system they use. And these adults are exceptionally good at placement of mud and water and sand. If you watch the little ones, they often they don't have quite such accurate placement, but see how he's chucking that sand up and it's going straight behind each ear. He knows exactly what he's doing. Yep, finished there. There's things happening here today. I'm getting slightly more tense vibes from these elephants today. I've spent a lot of time watching these Tembe bulls, and it often feels very sedate, very placid. Maybe there's been a breeding herd come through here, or maybe there's been a female come through who's maybe coming into estrus, and it's impacted the dynamic here a little bit with all these males. Shailesh Carrier, again from India, thank you so much for asking. Is it a male elephant that was wallowing? Yes, it absolutely was. And sometimes I am hesitant to confirm the sex of an animal we are looking at, because it can sometimes be tricky, but in that case, he definitely had a penis. So I'm happy to confirm that yes, it was a male. It's a little bit unusual, Shailesh, these males together regularly and in the same location. Often males will travel, they will follow breeding herds, seeing if there's any receptive females. But here in Tembe, we often see groups of males that hang around this pan. I'm still trying to work out if it's the same males that stay here all the time, or if they sort of come and go and ebb and flow. It's not uncommon to see males together, but someone actually said a little while ago they'd seen 24 male elephants here at one point, that is highly unusual. Eagle lover. Yes, that was such a nice sighting of that male who was having a really good scratch, really good spa day. They do indeed create their own spa days on a regular basis. What an absolute pleasure, hey? But I've commented before that I do find it interesting that there are so often males hanging around here at this pan, and I've seen breeding herds come through here as well, but it's they don't seem to hang around long, and I was wondering why that probably was, and I think I concluded that because there are normally bulls here or males here, I would assume the breeding herds probably come in, they have their drink, and then they carry on off feeding, so they are not bothered. They go off to feed.
For years, we've shared virtual wildlife. Now, let's experience it for real. I'm Lauren Arthur, and I'd love to show you my amazing home here in the Greater Kruger of South Africa. This 5-night journey is an exclusive connection to my piece of untamed Africa. I live here in these gorgeous landscapes surrounded by epic wildlife. The wild is calling, so come and join me.
South Africa's wild places are closer than you think, because Federal Airlines brings them to you. From the calm of our Fed Air Lounge to the smooth boarding of our trusted fleet. We take care of the journey so you can enjoy the adventure. Our flights go beyond the ordinary, connecting you to South Africa's most remote and extraordinary locations. Federal Airlines, your gateway to the South African wild.
My name is Takudzwa Panda Msesani. I really want to film an artwork, and it has been my goal. I'll be just keeping my eyes open. The worst driver is Jem. He's driving, yeah. You gotta be holding on back in there, yeah? Like in bumps, and I mean, it happens when, these things happens when you're actually going for animals usually. But then, yeah, he's driving, yeah, you gotta put your seatbelt.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. You'll gain access to the channel ad-free. You can rewind and rewatch sightings and gain access to our live Tuesday safaris. There's also behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and every safari live episode, whenever it suits you. It's just the best way to connect with nature.
We have one tusk. Normally, this would probably be down to something happened, like an incident. I'm not going to say it's. Well, I suppose it is an injury, really. It's like breaking a tooth. And someone has suggested to me in the past that I give all elephants lots of space. But if I see an elephant with damaged tusks, or especially an elephant with one tusk, I will give them lots of room. Because if this is an injury, I don't know if it's a new injury or an old injury, and it could mean that that animal is sore or uncomfortable, which can, as everyone knows, make all animals and humans, wild or otherwise, a little bit less placid and maybe worth giving a bit more space to. Jem, you're asking, do I think it'll eventually pop? I don't know, Jem. I don't know. I'm not sure how long it's been there. I did see someone said, Marsha said it's, Martina, sorry, said it's a tumour. I don't know if this conversation's been had before, and it's been formally confirmed by someone from maybe Madikwe that has, maybe a wildlife vet has assessed this specific elephant before. But Jem, it might do, and it would probably be a huge relief if it did, because as anyone who has ever had a tooth abscess or any other sort of abscess, but I've had a tooth abscess before, and it's desperately painful. So I would be giving this particular elephant a considerable amount of space, just in case that lump was causing him some discomfort, or indeed this lack of a tusk has aggravated any pain anywhere on them. But yeah, I used to work with a lion, a resident male lion. I almost couldn't remember where it was then, but I've remembered now. And the story goes that he was, I'm not sure who saw it, but I think someone did, saw that he was kicked in the face by a giraffe, and it damaged his jaw and knocked one of his lower canines loose. Horrific injury. And this lion carried on for a very long time. The tooth eventually disappeared, but it was sort of hanging out, and then it got lower and lower, and I assume there's skin in the mouth, skin cells the skin grew and the tooth got lower and lower. I'm sure if anyone wanted to look, I think if you looked up, what was his name? I can't remember his name, but there will be pictures of him online. And I remember we had many sightings with him, and he was relaxed. He wasn't upset by his injury. And after every sighting, we would sort of just make sure that tooth hadn't gone, and then one day it was gone. But he survived no problem. I've seen zebras as well with huge chunks out of their back ends, and they're sore. But over time, if they can stay away from predators during that time of injury, then they pull through. It's absolutely incredible what some of these wild animals can endure. Brian, you're saying this isn't the first time you've seen this elephant in Madikwe. That distinctive bump makes it easy to recognise it. Yes, Brian, I agree. And I'm just trying to think if I also recognise him from many years ago. So while elephants aren't, they're not technically territorial. If an animal's territorial, it means it will defend an area harshly. That is their area, and they will stop others from coming over their boundary line, so to speak. Elephants don't really do that. They have sort of general home ranges. They have ranges that they prefer and are normally found in, certainly in the areas I've worked in. I know historically across Africa, elephants would have huge, almost migratory routes. And I spent a lot of time in this corner of Madikwe, in the northwest corner of Madikwe, where Tau is, because that's where I worked. And I wonder if I went back through my photos, if I could confirm this one way or the other. But he doesn't seem like he's limping. So this boy seems relatively happy there with his bump, and his one tusk seems quite peaceful and relaxed. I think let's head across to Hesk. I would love to have a look and see what is going on with our little cutie cheetahs. Tammy and her 4 little ones. They're outside today. They're growing so quickly. They're still a little bit wobbly. So there's 2. Where's the other 2? There's one. Look how they're starting to explore. These cheetah cubs are almost 4 weeks old now. I've actually just had a interesting update on these cheetahs. Someone was asking the other day what sex these cubs are, and it's not going to be established till they're about 6 months old, when they have their DNA taken. So it's going to remain a mystery for now, and I think it will be really interesting to see if we can establish any differences in personality, and then maybe we could find out if we've noticed, without any bias is what I'm trying to say. So if we notice that one or another is more confident, oh careful, I nearly trod on that little one. But they really are growing so fast. Also found out the other day that Tammy was born on in September 2016, and it's nice to know. Often people say, "How old is this cheetah?" And I would have no idea. All I would normally be able to tell you is that it's an adult female cheetah. But Tammy was born on the 11th of September 2016. So that's exactly how old Mum is. And it's lovely to be able to know. And these little cubbies, I think they were born between the 30th and the 31st. No, hold on, there's only around about the 30th of April.
This unfolds in front of you. Every guide in Africa has been on an endless quest for the ultimate bush wear. Until now. Rugged Wear has a huge range of amazing bush gear for every wild situation. In the midday heat, those chilly winter mornings, in the storms of summer. Rugged Wear has the bush kit for every wild occasion. Locally made in South Africa, crafted with precision, stitched with quality.
My full name is Maxine Gaines. Most people that know me really well call me Max. I'm a mum. I have 2 boys. One is 16 years old and one is 14 years old. I'm a very, very proud mama of my 2 boys. I've just always been passionate about leopards. I'm passionate about their conservation. I'm just passionate about everything to do with leopards. I love them.
This little one's been on its back for quite a while. Oh, what a joy, hey? Jeff D, you're saying if that's them, they sound like birds. I know adult cheetah when they contact call. It's the strangest sound. It's almost like a. It's a very strange high pitched squeak. And I'm just trying to think what sound. But I've never seen cheetah this young. The youngest cheetah I've ever seen is probably like 3 or 4 months. So I've never seen cheetahs this small before, so I don't know what sound they make because I've never heard them. See, Mum is still spending lots of time cleaning, and it will be. We all know that cats are fastidious about hygiene and cleaning. Spend lots of time grooming. So these little babies, they won't be. I'm just trying to think when they will start paying more attention to their personal hygiene. My gut says not quite yet, so Mum is still having to do that for them. Keeping them nice and clean. I suppose that's the equivalent of mum spitting on a tissue and giving a face a wipe, really. Samantha, you're asking, do cheetahs have the highest number of cubs in a litter? That's a really good question. I know, I'm assuming you mean out of the cats? Because otherwise you'd have said puppies, so yes you do. I'm just trying to think. My gut is saying yes, because I'm sure I've seen a cheetah mum with 5 cubs before. And I certainly haven't seen a leopard with that many. I'm just trying to think the most cubs I've seen in a litter of lion cubs. But we don't often... I'm going by what I've seen. But my gut is saying yes, I think they probably do. Although I have seen lions with, I think lions I can have up to about 6. But standard number is 2 to 4. So I'm gonna say yes, I think they do. Because you regularly hear of cheetahs with 4 or 5 cubs and not so much lions, I think. Lions is more 2 to 3, up to 6, but yeah, my gut's telling me they probably do. I'm not sure about some of the smaller cats like caracals, and oh my goodness, I would have no idea how many cubs. I would have no idea how many cubs caracals have. I've only ever had 2 caracal sightings, let alone babies. I think lovely to see these little ones out in the sunshine here having a snooze. This camera is struggling a little bit, so I think let's head back across to Tau. But so nice to have such a lovely update with Tammy and her little ones here, and they're outside and they're playing. So good to be able to keep an eye on her, and of course you are all welcome to come back and check in with Tammy anytime that you wish. Have we got any crocodiles here today? I was doing some excellent reading around crocodile coloration the other day, and how much the crocodiles at Tau have grown over the years. I'm curious now as to how many cubs a caracal has. I think I've once heard of a caracal with 2 cubs that we've seen, but caracals and servals. How many cubs would a serval have? I think I've only had... I actually used to see servals at Tau. There was a fairly relaxed caracal and also a fairly relaxed serval up here at Tau Game Lodge. Ah, there's one of our crocs, thank you. Oh, 2! And it might have been these 2 I was looking at the other day. Very different coloration in these 2 crocodiles. One is much lighter, and we discovered that can be genetic, same as often with different coloration. Can be genetic, can be environmental. Yeah, I've just actually checked. Caracal 1 to 4 cubs. It seems a lot of the cats are fairly similar with their litter rates. Hi Tracy, sorry we didn't get to you earlier. Tracy, you're there in England, in the UK. Well, I'm assuming in the UK. You could indeed be in any of the other United Kingdom countries. Apologies. And you're asking about wildfire in safari areas. Absolutely, we can. It can be a huge problem. There are often fires in the bush that can be often caused by lightning. Sometimes there have been occasions of, we believe, especially around the outside of reserves, if there's glass or something and it's very, very hot, that can cause fire. It does happen. Often lightning. One of the worst times of year for fire is as we're coming out of the very dry season, so before the rains start and storms start to build. It's a massive problem. There was actually a fire at Tau 2018, I think. I wasn't working there at the time. I think it was 2018. Also, lots of the lodges are built with thatch, which could also, if not encourage, then certainly not help with fires. But there are often fires in the bush there. There was another occasion, it was not at the lodge, but it was a bushfire, and I remember it was getting very close to the lodges as well. So Tracy, yes, we do, and it can cause huge problems, and has done so for many lodges in the past. I think it was around about 2018. I tell you what I did read the other day. I should have possibly remembered it slightly better. No, that's not it. I saw an article. I think it was actually a proper research paper, or certainly the article at least. There used to be a belief that, I think it was in Australia, that birds would carry burning branches between bushfire areas, and no one was ever quite sure if it was the case. And the article I read recently stated that yes, it's true, and there was 3 species of bird of prey that had been recorded doing it, and the only reason they could think of is to flush insects or prey species out of the bush, which I found very interesting. And science is racing these days, so many things that have been believed or thought of in the past are rapidly being either proven or disproven with ongoing research. You can see how this water level is receding. See that log? There's dried mud sort of back behind that log now. Oh, Cecile, cheetah on Amakala raised 4 cubs to adulthood last year and has 4 cubs again now. I agree, Cecile. I think maybe the statement should be, maybe cheetah have a higher success rate, or more commonly have slightly higher numbers of cubs. Interesting that she's done it before and she's doing it again, Cecile. That's very cool. Neville, do crocs ever catch birds? Yes, they do. Well, it wouldn't be nice for the lapwing, but look how close that lapwing is going to that crocodile. Look. So yeah, it wouldn't be particularly cool for the lapwing. Is that a little? That's a little. It's like a three-banded plover just on the shoreline there. But yes, Neville, they absolutely will. They've got to be quick. It's a huge energy investment for a crocodile when they do try and grab something. They have to move very quickly. They are cold-blooded, so that means it's almost harder for them to exert big bursts of high energy. So they have to have a fairly good inkling that it's going to work, because it's a huge energy investment to lunge and grab and things when you are cold-blooded. But they have, and they can, and they will. But yeah, they do have to be quite quick. Crocodiles will eat pretty much anything if they can get it in their mouth, then they're going to try and eat it. I think crocodiles are one of the true definitions of real apex predators. Lovely interaction there with those two zebra. Grooming those hard to reach places on one another. Lots of animals do participate in this allo grooming or grooming of one another. It helps to keep coats and condition clean and nice, but it's also lots of bonding, it's communication. It's a myth that some people say that only lower ranking or younger or smaller animals will groom older or adult animals. This isn't the case. This crocodile just opened his mouth nice and wide now. I've got it in my head that these crocodiles at Tower are all females. But I totally stand to be corrected on that. And something I actually noticed the other day is, for the first time, look on that crocodile's tail, how there's those plates on either side, and then the last sort of 6 or 7 plates on the tail. Those osteoderms, which is sort of basically a bony plate on an animal, are upright to help with, I was going to call it aerodynamics then, but that's not the right word because it's water, let's call it water dynamics. If they're using that tail to swim, it will be more streamlined and cut through the water easier. You will often see zebra standing. These aren't currently doing it, although two on the left almost are. They will stand nose to tail sometimes. Horses will do the same thing, of course in the same family, to keep flies off each other's noses. If they're standing nose to tail, they act as each other's fly swats. This crocodile in the front here has got his mouth open to help with some thermoregulation, adjusting surface area there. Of course, the more surface area, the more heat exchange can happen. And that may, look, this is a line of crocodile, zebra, impala and elephant, all in a line there.
We have just had our efforts paid off.
The Wild Earth Impact Foundation is a non-profit that uses the power of wildlife storytelling as a force for good. We create sustainable development projects that showcase conservation stories, empower people, and inspire environmental action. As a registered South African PBO, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. To find out more, visit our website.
My full name is Maxine Gaines. Best part of the job, gosh, I just love everything about guiding. I love being able to observe animal behavior and animals behaving naturally. So for me, that's by far the best part of the job. And so what we do here at Wild Earth is develop those connections with the people that are viewing and maybe just light a little spark that says, you know what, I want to be involved in protecting this ecosystem.
Welcome to Safari Spotlight. We'll be
And you pretend like you're a serviceman, eh?
Got no idea what's going on this reserve.
Expecting the unexpected. Are we stuck down there? What am I trying to do?
So we have another giant of Mabula.
That was incredible.
This is unbelievable.
It's going to be a spectacular afternoon.
Out here, every moment counts. As a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel ad-free 24/7 and rewind if you want to catch something again. Enjoy behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats and early access to travel offers. It's the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Prey species, zebra, impala, stuff that gets eaten on a regular basis. They've got very acute senses of smell, acute senses of hearing, eyesight, to basically try and stay alive. Egyptian goose having a little drink there. So I think they could probably see that cockle though. It's fairly good camouflage even on the bank there. Can crocs make a sound like roaring timber? I think they can. They could also vibrate their bodies and it's almost like a rattling sound. Let's head over to Founders. I love that camera across there at Founders. The light is so off and absolutely stunning there at Founders. We will head over to Founders just now, but I did see some sort of splashes over to the left of this shot here. I'm not sure if that croc was on its way somewhere. Sorry, I got terribly sidetracked there. Timber. Yes, crocodiles can make sounds. They make sort of roaring sounds. They'll make hissing sounds. You don't often hear it though. That little crocodiles make quite a distinctive sound, like baby crocodiles. It's like a meow. It seems like all baby things that I do impressions of make that sort of noise. But if you look at the sound they make, it's a very distinctive sound. And they can also vibrate. So they can also make an inaudible to humans vibration sound. So yes, but you don't hear. I haven't done much hearing of crocodiles. There really is always something happening here at Tau, isn't there? Never a dull moment. Oh, we've got a wildebeest joining the party. As I said, elephant, impala, zebra, wildebeest, crocodiles. This looks like a lone guy. I used to find it. Oh, wow! There's definitely parties here at the Pan today. I have on occasion struggled to sex wildebeest, but I learned a trick. If you look at a wildebeest, apparently the bull's horns extend quite a bit past the edge of their ears. You will often find these wildebeest bulls on their own. Ray, yes, I agree. I'm always stunned and in awe of just the sheer numbers or the variety of species we see here at Tau. Everyone normally getting on quite well, and I can confirm that it is like this all the time, because this is where I started my career as a guide. I spent many hours on the deck there at Tau Game Lodge. It really is a very special waterhole. And I'm sure anyone that's been watching these cameras for any length of time at all has seen some epic sightings from here. We've seen dogs chasing things into the water and lions hunting here, and there used to be a big male lion that was in and around this area often. Sort of just before sunrise. This was part of his territory. He used to do loops on a regular basis around his territory, and he would often cover this area around this pan here. We would often hear him, or I would often hear him when I was getting up before game drive. So in the summer that was early, sort of maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, so we would hear him before sunrise, and then he'd start quietening down because he was moving away from the front of the lodge there. But lions' roars can be heard for huge distances. But he woke me up on regular occasions, and the staff accommodation with Tau is it's not too far from the lodge. It's maybe a few hundred meters away, and he must have been. This pan is maybe 400 meters, maybe not even that far. Where that zebra is standing is probably about 350 meters from where I used to sleep, and he woke me up on occasions roaring. That's how loud that roar is and how far that sound would travel. I think it does have an impact as well around Tau. There are lots of koppies and hills, which also almost amplifies the sound. There's actually a place not far from, it's about 20 minutes drive, called the Amphitheatre, and it really it is called that for a reason. It's a beautiful, beautiful area in Madikwe. I think let's head back across to Tembe. I definitely think there's been a little bit more tension between those bulls there at that pan than we often see. I'm interested to see how these dynamics are fluctuating between these boys. Oh wow, that is a lot of elephants. And I'm pretty confident to say that these are all males. See, this is unusual, in my opinion. So that's 10 elephant balls there. To me, a more common number, and even then, I did say the other day, I used to see it quite regularly in Madikwe. There was quite a few flat sort of open spaces, and it wasn't super unusual to see maybe 3 big bulls, but spread across those open spaces, maybe, I don't know, like 200 metres apart or something like that. 4 bulls. But this to me is has that elephant got a big rip in his ear there? The one furthest to the right. Yes, he has. Wow, he's very identifiable. That's a huge rip he's got in his ear. Show him, boy. See, this one looks pretty peaceful. I think maybe what happened earlier is maybe a breeding herd came through. There was maybe a couple of females in there that were, if not in estrus, they were maybe coming into estrus, which is what might have caused a little bit of a fracas amongst these big adult bulls.
My name is Amy, and today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently.
Wild Earth has launched a special fundraising drive for our non-profit, the Wild Earth Impact Foundation. We're raising funds to source, create, and showcase thousands of untold stories. Stories that spark real action in conservation and social impact. Visit our website to donate and explore how you can become a founding donor.
And I say this because I've been not on the receiving end, that's the wrong phrase. I've been to places where I've been told there's no crocodiles and it turns out there's a crocodile there. One of my mentors when I first started in the industry once told me if it's bigger than a sink, there might be a crocodile in it. I've also just had a little look at it. It says there might be a few more elephants in Tenby Elephant Park than that, but that's what I mean. It's which numbers do you take? When was that census done? This is one of the reasons I try and avoid numbers of things, because numbers fluctuate so wildly on a regular basis. Tristan, you're asking, do crocodiles and elephants clash? They might. But surprisingly not as often as you might think. I have watched many elephants drinking from many pans that have many crocodiles in, and I don't think, I think I've got maybe once in my head that I've seen a big interaction between crocodiles and elephants where a crocodile's tried to grab an elephant, but I think maybe once, if that. Elephants will chase crocodiles. There is these two boys getting into it now. It's unlikely that a crocodile would even attempt to hunt any of these, and even if it wanted to try and get a chunk off a trunk, there's a huge risk. Elephants, they just have to stand on a crocodile. Even the bigger crocodiles, there are much easier things to clash with, Tristan, than an elephant. Julia, you're asking, what would attract a crocodile to an area? The first point would be water. These two boys are having a good shove. They can walk on land. They definitely much prefer to have access full time to water. So the primary thing would be water that would attract a crocodile. And then secondly, food. The same as any wildlife, their presence in an area is dependent on resources. So those resources are mainly food, water, and reproductive opportunities. If those things are present and plentiful, then those animals, or whatever the living being is going to be in that area as well. And if one of those resources declines significantly, then those animals will leave that area. Namely, it's the same as anything. Water, nothing can survive without water. Well, or access to enough fluid to maintain its lifestyle, depending on what sort of animal you're talking about. But it's basically resources. Deb Davis, you're asking, how long does an estrus cycle of an elephant last? That's a really interesting question, Deb Davis, and I'm not sure how far into it I'm going to go, but I did a lot of reading. This is how I found out about impalas recycling. Short version, the whole estrus cycle of an elephant is 3 to 4 months, but their period of fertility is very small. So that period of where they're receptive to mating or receptive to falling pregnant is days. 4 days, 6 days, somewhere around there. And I noticed that, it's the same as humans though. While cycle lengths vary, and as a rule, same as gestation periods, often the bigger the animal, the longer the gestation is. I think it's a similar sort of thing with estrus. I'm happy to be corrected on it. So while the cycles are long, those windows of fertility are often very, very short. And I think I heard that a long time ago with, I think it was kudu. It was like a day or something ridiculous. So while that cycle is a long cycle, actual receptivity period is actually very, very short. And of course the males will know when that is. Sandra, you're asking what animal has the longest gestation period? Land mammal is elephants at 22 months, but I'm not sure about whales' gestation period. So you're going up in size, like a blue whale. I've got no idea what a gestation period for a blue whale is. I'm going to go slightly longer than an elephant. I'm actually going to check that, because let's see if my bigger the animal, the longer the gestation period is sound. Ha! Well, I never. I've also just checked that. MC just helped me out significantly. And that is completely and utterly proved me totally wrong. Which is fine. And this is how we learn. Gestation period of a blue whale is 10 to 11 months. So half that of an elephant. Even though blue whales are probably twice the size of an elephant, they completely ignore everything I ever say. Huh. Isn't that interesting? I wonder why that would be. Oh, I know why it might be. I wonder if it's got anything to do with the fact that newborn blue whales swim, which is maybe an easier activity than walking on land. I wonder if that's got anything to do with it, maybe. Ha, Julia, you're asking exactly the same thing as I have just spoken about. Normally gestation periods are longer for animals that need to be more functional when they're born. So yeah, all I can think of is maybe the development of... Oh, I'm flailing around here a little bit now. All I can think of maybe is it's easier to swim in water than it is to walk on land. Julia, you're wondering why an elephant would then have a longer gestation period. Is it because it's more difficult to form the structure of an elephant than a whale? Yeah, that's what I would guess, Julia. Oh, this is what I really enjoy about these shows. People send questions in, and we can all think about it together. Like I often say, I certainly don't know everything by a long shot, and there's so many things, and it's why I enjoy it. This is what I really enjoy about nature, is we do not know everything. We do not know even a smidge of what's out there, in my opinion. Dean, so will animals that have parental care then have shorter gestation periods? As a rule, yes. From what I understand, or it's also mobility is an important factor. Baby things are either born capable or incapable, and if you think about most of the antelope species, so which is paracochal or altricial, paracochal being they're born fairly competent, and altricial meaning they're helpless, blind, can't do anything for themselves at all. If you think about your prey species, your antelopes are pregnant for, wild generalisation, about 6 months, but those little ones have to they're born and they need to be ready to run. They need to be ready to go. But whereas your cats and things, they have a shorter gestation period, normally between 85 days from there, depending on the species. But they live in dens or they're hidden away, completely dependent on mum, can't feed for themselves, can't move, eyes aren't open, that sort of thing. Oh wow, we're getting some great gestation period questions in now. Jinxifer, brilliant name. Maybe because whales have less predators than baby elephants? Maybe.
Experience the magic of the wild on an unforgettable 4-night safari at Mabula Nature Reserve, hosted by the one and only Stephen Falconbridge. With Steve as your private guide, you'll gain incredible insights into Africa's wildlife, leaving with knowledge and memories to last a lifetime. Get hands-on with conservation, track elusive cheetahs, and even take to the skies on a hot air balloon ride. Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Do you want to know why impala are the most common antelope we find here in the Kruger National Park? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live. Connect with nature. Out here, every wild moment matters, and as a Wild Earth explorer, you won't miss a thing. Watch the Wild Earth channel, ad-free 24/7, where you can even rewind and watch something again. Get access to behind-the-scenes videos, fireside chats, and access to early travel offers. It is the best way to stay connected and be part of the Wild Earth family.
Wow, look at all these male elephants here. Oh, I've just had some excellent feedback here from my FC team. Are these all males or is this a breeding herd? This is insane. Okay, I was right. My guess, my gut reaction was correct, it seems. I would love to hear why you would think that though. Would you all be rationalising the same thing about eggs? I'm desperately trying. See, it's really difficult for me because I could cheat, but I don't like to cheat and look things up. But my gut reaction, I'm trying to rationalise that it must be. I'm trying to think of all those images I've seen of the inside of eggs where you shine things through them and there's sort of nothing in there, and then an embryo starts to develop. And to me, that is what a gestation period is the developmental time of an embryo. I'm stunned by all these elephants here. I mean, that looked like more than 10. They've all dispersed again a little bit. Nikki, you're saying you think it's the time for an egg to hatch as its gestation period because the animal is developing inside the egg. That's what my brain said as well, Nikki. But please don't ever trust that too much. But Nikki, I would be inclined to agree. I really enjoy the aspect of sharing ideas with everyone and also hearing everyone's ideas back. I'm still interested as to why. Something else I would like everyone's input on. Why do we think a blue whale's gestation is only half the period of an elephant? My guess is that swimming is easier than walking. So baby blue whales don't need to be as developed as baby elephants. That's my theory. But again, if we've had another shout for maybe there's less predators for baby blue whales and baby elephants. But again, if anyone has any thoughts on why that would be, because it completely blew my bigger the animal, the longer this gestation period, completely blew it out of the water by double. I would love to hear what you think. Julia, so then, is the time an egg is inside the mum considered pregnancy? Wow. Julia, I don't know. Pink, you say you agree. You think it's because whales can swim, which is an easier mode of movement. Okay, Pink, you agree with me. Any advances on that? But I'm genuinely surprised by that. I've got all these elephants. Hold on, let me count these elephants. 10, 11, 12. Slid off the screen. I counted 12 before we zoomed in on those woolly neck stalks, but that is a vast number of male elephants, and it does to me look like they are all still bulls there. Julia. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would. So then, is the time an egg is inside the mum considered? But then that begs the question: can birds be pregnant? Because pregnancy is an embryo and there's no embryos in eggs when they're laid. Oh wow, this is blowing my mind. Let's count the elephants for a minute. Ooh, beans. That's a good one. Beans is suggesting maybe whales have smaller brains than elephants, so elephants need longer in the womb to develop the brain. That's an excellent call. That could also be a very sensible answer. I didn't think of that, Beans. I'm still trying to think of whether or not birds can be pregnant. This is going to be my... Mindy Tillipal. Hi Mindy, how are you doing? Could there be more rapid fetal development in a whale for some reason? Quite possibly. I mean, they're still going to need like hearts and things, aren't they? There's no... Other than brain development, like Beans just said. They're still going to need organs and stuff to function. But maybe it is more rapid. Wow, you guys are doing brilliantly today. I'm so glad you're all here to support me. Julia, I'm not convinced. But that's wild. That's, if you think about it rationally, I don't think birds can be pregnant, because pregnancy to me is the development of a fetus, and that happens in the egg. So a bird lays an egg and then it develops, so it's like that's the pregnancy. But I've never had the thought birds can't be pregnant before. What a revelation. We are full of revelations today. But yeah, I'm loving all these ideas on why a blue whale's pregnancy is half the length of an elephant. This is a ridiculous amount of elephants here. Brian, today is, you're agreeing, Brian's saying today Tabby is teeming with bulls. Maybe there's a clandestine meeting going on that we're not aware of. There could well be. Maybe they're all talking about whether or not birds can be pregnant. But I'm pretty sure they're just enjoying the dust and the water rather than concerning themselves with such with such ramblings. Mindy Tillapau, I agree. Learning is more fun when we do it together. I completely agree. How boring would it be if I sat here for 2 hours and said, "Oh, no, this is this and this is this." Where's the joy? Where's the fun? Where's the learning? And like I said, I enjoy going away and doing homework because we all have so much instant information at our fingertips now. You just grab it and then it's gone again. But for me, I like understanding the why and how, and I'm actually going to add that. And I have to write it down, otherwise I'll forget. I'm going to do more reading around why that is the case. I'm going to have to write it down or I'll forget. Julian Thomas, yeah, you're right, it is gravid. You see gravid spiders, you see gravid snakes. Have I ever heard anyone say gravid birds? I've definitely seen and heard of people talking about gravid spiders, gravid snakes. Would we even know when birds are gravid? Has anyone ever seen a... Then I was going to say, well, they can't get too gravid or they wouldn't be able to fly, but not all birds fly. So yeah, gravid means carrying eggs. Trixie Rose. You're saying, hi Kelly, hello Trixie Rose. Being so intelligent, an elephant's brain development in the womb takes much longer. And then we go down the path of what is intelligence. But we're not doing that today because we've only got 25 minutes of the show left. Very interesting, and something I will definitely be giving some more thought to. It definitely does look like there's been something going on here today, though. We regularly see sort of 5 or 6 bulls, but I counted up to 12 there. I suppose also as the seasons change, it could be that normally there's sort of 5 or 6 bulls that hang around here a lot of the time, but as pans or water resources dry in other areas, they're going to need to congregate more, and they're going to have to share more nicely and more frequency.
My heart is pounding at the moment.
We are here in one of the best places in the world to see tigers.
Would you like to know the difference between a male and a female wildebeest? You can ask me questions like this in real time. Our safaris are live and interactive here in the heart of Africa. Join me on Safari Live and connect with nature.
Step into the heart of Africa from the comfort of your home.
Female leopard tracks over here.
Join our expert guides for a live 3-hour safari where every moment is real, unscripted, and unforgettable. Ask questions.
Animals rely on their senses.
Share your thoughts and be part of the experience as we explore together. Safari Live. Safari, wine, and waterfalls. The ultimate African adventure. Sip South Africa's finest wines. Experience a world-class safari among Africa's iconic wildlife. And stand in front of Victoria Falls, one of the natural wonders of the world. All this can be yours with Wild Earth Travel, where Africa comes alive.
Eight females and 2 males, or whatever that ratio is, but I definitely think it would vary from species to species. I wouldn't know if you were going to repopulate an area what the general consensus would be for how many boys to how many girls, if I'm honest. And what I was supposed to check the other day is why, when so fewer males are needed to sustain a population, so one male could mate with 10 females, why are as many males born as there are females? So often you see in lion cubs there's 1 male, 1 female, but fewer males are required in order to sustain a population. I didn't come up with an answer. The best I could come up with was perhaps genetic diversity, and the more males that were born, the more likely optimal males would remain in order to maintain species diversity. But I didn't check it. That's the best I came up with. That was a really interesting question as well. Darren from Devon, England. Platypus and echidnas lay eggs, but they are mammals. You are completely right. Just to throw some confusion into the mix, and I believe platypus are also venomous, if I'm not mistaken. Someone is welcome. I don't quite understand the context of it and when it's used and how it's used and what venom it is. so I'm not going to say too much more on the matter, but if anyone would like to go away and they can do some homework this afternoon, I believe platypus have a venomous spur or something, just to make them even more confusing. Moonbeam Smith, perhaps it takes longer due to the resource inputs grass needed to develop such size. Quite possibly. Huh? That could also make sense as less growth nutrient in grass than there is in whatever it is that whales are eating. These are all, to me, these are all completely legitimate suggestions. And this is the beauty of nature. There's often not necessarily a right or a wrong answer. Trixie Rose, gravid quite simply means pregnant, ergo any female of any species can be gravid. I've often used that. As I said, Trixie Rose, I normally hear about gravid spiders and gravid snakes. I've never heard anyone say a gravid impala, but I suppose it's a use of the language. Wow, we're really getting into it today. Okay, John, this sounds very reasonable and rational. It's to do with brain growth in elephants, but also that whales have high protein diet which provide extremely rich milk for rapid growth after birth. Also, elephants are unusual in that their pregnancy has 2 hormone births. What do you do for a living, John? Did you check that elsewhere, or is this information you have already? I don't think I knew that elephants had 2 hormone births in their pregnancies. Is that unusual in mammals? Oh, I'm going to stop talking. It's going to show how much I know about mammalian pregnancy. The brain definitely makes sense. The protein element also really makes sense. Like Moonbeam Smith just said about the, again, resources required to make that development sufficient. Elephants, they have 2 hormone births. I didn't know that, John. I'm going to put that. I'm going to find out more about hormone births in elephant pregnancy. I am writing. I am making a note of it, otherwise I will forget. That's a brilliant statement, Rachel D. That's brilliant, Rachel. That's made me smile, and I really like that analogy. And anyone that knows me knows I do love a good analogy. I don't normally use Kelly analogies here, but anyone that knows me knows I do come up with some absolute crackers. Rachel D says, you don't think birds are pregnant. The female is just a mixing bowl for fertilisation. And then the embryo is popped out inside the egg where it develops. That is brilliant. I enjoy that very much, Rachel. Female bird is a mixing bowl. I like that a lot. Jinxifer, you're saying, yes, reading krill is more nutritious than grass and vegetation. There's some really sound theories and ideas coming through here today, everyone. I really appreciate everyone's input, and this is why I enjoy it. And I think anyone the day they believe that they have all the answers to everything, certainly as a guide or a naturalist, and they should maybe reconsider, because we learn all the time. The amount of times, it's happened to me so many times, actually on safari with guests, and this is why I'm sure you'll hear a lot of us on when we do these shows. we're often a little bit sort of reticent about saying yes or no to anything because it's happened to all of us. And someone has said, does this happen? And we go, no, that never happens. And then it happens right in front of our faces. And we have to go, okay, apart from that time when it does happen, or vice versa. Would a such and such ever, whatever? And we go, no, that would never happen. And then someone at the back will say, oh, I've seen this do that, or whatever it was. I had it with a very unusual cheetah sighting I had. I didn't see them too often. And one of my guys said, oh, do you think that cheetah's going to climb that tree? I said, no, cheetahs don't really climb trees. I said, the formation of their claws is different. They're not very sharp, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't you know it, this cheetah walked straight up to this tree and climbed it. I felt like such a fool. I was like, and I actually got a picture of it. I said, apart from that cheetah and that tree, they don't climb trees. So yeah, well, I am certainly normally very reserved on hard yes or no responses.
I met this remarkable rhino bull, whose name is Samson, last year in a place of extraordinary beauty, history and story. I'm going back there to see him in October, and I think you should come with me to his mysterious mountain fastness.
If you love watching Wild Earth, here's a little tip. Become a member. You can gain access to the channel ad-free, you can rewind and re-watch sightings, and you can join our Tuesday live safaris. There's also behind the scenes videos, fireside chats, and every Safari Live episode, whenever you want it. It's just a better way to stay connected to nature.
Oh, there he is at the back there. Oh no, they've changed from having their drinking spots. They're all going to pick their mud wallows now. And maybe have another good old mudding session. It's a very young, well, not very young, but much smaller looking elephant there. I wonder if that also might have a impact on dynamics. These big groups of males, again, something we often talk about is when male elephants will leave their maternal herds, their breeding herds, and we normally say when they're, I remember in guiding school, when they're 12 years old, elephants will leave their breeding herd, and I've always had this image of sort of the elephants having a little sing-song of happy birthday and then going, right, off you go, Dave. That is your 12th birthday, off you go. And that isn't the case. It depends on various things, but I wonder if having these big groups of males could impact the age at which males joined these groups from their breeding herds. Because that elephant at the back there behind that great big one, it's quite small. So maybe they would join these groups of bulls at a younger age because there were more developed, more numerous groups of bulls, so there's more supervisors available for the younger boys. And I suppose as well, actually, those trunks take a long time to develop. They're highly complex organs in their own right, those trunks, in my opinion. Tens of thousands of muscles. They're going to take quite a long time, although they're not particularly well used when little elephants are born. They still have to develop. I think we've had a lovely time using different aspects of various things here at Tenby Elephant Park. I would love to go back over to Tammy if her and her little ones are still, especially if they're still outside there. Watching those young ones play, or even attempt to play, is possibly even cuter. Ah, look, they are still outside. Look at her. I thought that was her shoulder blade sticking up there, but maybe it's a tuft of fur. Look how far back that elbow comes. These are incredibly designed creatures. Look, that little one got up the step and everything. Ooh, there's normally one that's the naughtiest that goes off exploring. Let's see if she's going to go. That was her. That was her. That did sound like a gremlin, but I thought that might have been off in the distance, but I'm now convinced that was her contact calling that cub. I think if you ever wanted to hear a female chief saying, where you go? I think that's probably what it sounded like. I saw a clip a while ago, and it's definitely worth, if you haven't seen it before, go have a little look and find it and watch it. It was actually a clip I watched of, I've seen cheetah before, but it was a sight hound. It was a lurcher running in slow motion, and it blew my mind how that animal moved. But if you haven't seen it before, I'd strongly suggest maybe in about 7 minutes time, going and having a look at a slow motion clip of a cheetah in full sprint. Watch where those feet land, watch how that spine, oh look at this little one climbing, watch how that spine bends, how far forward those back feet come through and around the front feet. It really is quite a spectacular feat of engineering. So if you haven't before, go watch a slow motion clip of a running cheetah. Penelope Kenyon, love this show. I'm really glad you love the show, Penelope. It's always a pleasure to have you with us. You're saying thank you to Wild Earth, Kelly and the Zoomies. Everyone at FC and Zoomies, You are absolute stars. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. You do a brilliant, brilliant job of bringing us these amazing images. And FC of bringing all the technology together to make it work so beautifully. Is this little cheetah on its back there? Hi, gorgeous girl. You're doing a great job, Mum. Lovely to see this family outside, enjoying a bit of sunshine. Lovely temperatures in this area at the moment, so little one's not going to be too hot. It's sitting today, my forecast is saying it's around about 27 degrees. Some lovely stable weather coming up actually. All clear skies. I know someone that's going to be delighted by those beautiful clear skies. Whole week of nice stable weather conditions here, all around about 27, 28, 30 degrees. Absolutely perfect. Leopard lover says cheetah heaven. I'm glad you are happy to enjoy cheetahs. Leopard lover. Trixie Rose, Wild Earth, love you all to bits. We love you all to bits too. Trixie Rose, thank you so much for joining in, and thank you for everyone for participating in my thought processes. It's so nice getting everyone else's input, but and honestly, as naturalists, when we do get together, and we do quite frequently, we have the same conversations. The day you stop learning and the day you stop thinking and pondering and growing is a very sad day indeed. Look, she's got her front leg over those little ones there. Just keeping a nice watchful eye. Ooh, ooh. Something's caught her interest. So nice to see that these young ones are growing quickly, healthy, and being able to watch them as they grow. They're about a month old now, 4 weeks, and seeing how much they've developed over the last 4 weeks. Such a special thing to be a part of here from HESC. Able to join in with these fabulous cameras. Unfortunately, we're pretty much out of time again. Thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon, or morning, or evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. So please do all carry on enjoying the rest of your day. Keep your eyes on the cameras. And I'm looking forward to being back soon and joining you all here for Live at the Waterhole. Enjoy your day.